the divine revelation and the human interpretations, reflections with Master Ali Rafea. And I would like to point out that this book is part of a whole culture project that Master Ali Rafea led. I would like to share with you my reflections why this book is so important for Muslims and non-Muslims and to the world. First, it deals with puzzling issues that have disturbed the of Islam as message of mercy and love. It deals with absolute truth, holding absolute truth. In other words, it doesn't use the tool. It's also accepting different views and build its dialogue with compassion and understanding. Meanwhile, the book in hegemony. Third, it challenges dogma. It's amazing that when it displays its interpretation, does not create another dogma. Rather, it opens avenues for reflection. Fourth, it calls for taking the path toward the betterment of the humankind. Fifth, other people from other belief systems can use the same approach to relate to their teachings. Now, I am all ears to listen to the presentation of Master Ali Rafea. I call for Master Ali Rafea.
Hello.
Yes, we are hearing. Yeah.
And I don't hear Mrs. Alia. Did she introduce me or what?
Yes, she did this.
Should I start? Or?
Yes,
please.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Because I don't hear you and I don't know what to do. Okay. All right.
Are all
Thank
ears
you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, great. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my honor and privilege to give this talk about the divine revelation and the human interpretation book. Please allow me first to give you a brief introduction about authoring this book. By the end of the 20th century, I asked myself and members of our spiritual path whether we are introducing new interpretation of the divine revelation script or repeating what the ancestor said. At that time, I was overseeing the spiritual path for about 30 years, giving speeches at different religious and spiritual meetings. I was preparing my short speeches before delivering, but later to improvise my talks. I was giving my speeches based on my thoughts that arise in my mind because of thinking and meditating deeply of the laws of the universe, the Qur'an verses, traditional of Prophet Muhammad, and the other books. I read history, Sufism. I was also observing the behaviors and thoughts of ordinary people and the traditional scholars. I cannot say that I was influenced by any. I have my own line of thought. The only influence came from accompanying my early childhood. However, I did not try to identify how my beliefs are different from any of the beliefs prevailing in the society, until I asked myself the question with which I started this talk. Are we introducing a new interpretation of the divine revelation scripts, or we are repeating what the ancestors said? As a result of discussion about this question, we decided to dive into the different religious resources, and follow a scientific and structured approach in handling theological and philosophical research areas. In successive brainstorming sessions, we came up with the following research questions. Do all revealed and natural religions include the same concept that are manifested in the commandments and the rituals of those religions? And if so, could this explain what we believe in, which is the existence of one innate religion that manifested itself in all the messages in multiple forms to guide man to attain harmony with the universal and eternal law? Does Islam, this is the first question. The second question was, does Islam, as revealed to our Master Muhammad, clarify and guide to this one religion that has existed from eternity and forever? Okay, I will repeat the third question. I noticed that I was muted. I don't know why. Why do many of the existing interpretation of the revealed script led to the concepts and the practices which do not belong to the original teaching, such as fanaticism and discrimination in the name of religion? The fourth question, do the virtuous thinkers from the East and West, ancient and modern, commend and preach with this line of thought that matches this belief in one religion that has multiple forms for expressing the same concept? Having asked these questions, I asked my sisters, Alia and Aisha, to actually conduct research in the heritage and in the scripts revealed to Prophet Muhammad and the other messengers, and to come up with some answers to these questions. Okay, so I thank them very much for doing that, and they did a very good work and a lot of effort to come up with what exists before we start our authoring of any of these books. The book I am introducing tonight answers mainly the third questions that I have just mentioned. In other words, the question could be made more specific as follows. What are the reasons that led to the extreme different reading of the verses of the Qur'an? And what is our interpretation of these verses? I will not try in this short talk to answer these two questions in detail. The book shows all the verses used by different groups to justify their behaviors and opinions toward the following issues: definition of Islam, practicing the spiritual trading system, and applying the Shari'a as a generic system that could be enacted in any country. We introduce our approach as an alternative that fits with all our understanding of the major principle of Islamic code. Our approach is based on understanding the concept of Fetra, that point to the primordial nature according to which God created human and the universe. We consider Fetra as a source of knowledge about justice, truth, and other ethical principles. Fetra guided human beings before the revelations to build civilization. In the Qur'an, the Prophet was asked to take the path of Fetra, as the following verse expresses. Stand straight and direct. Your face, stand straight and direct your face to the path of truth. This is Allah created law, Fitratullah, according to which Allah has created humankind. We believe that any attempt to confuse Islam with any ideas that human nature rejects deserves examination and revision. I would like to emphasize that we don't claim that we introduce pure, right, or correct Islam. We merely attempt to introduce a reading that focuses on inspiring meanings and messages, not rigid forms and acts. We think of Islam as an inclusive, not exclusive religion that embraces the whole world and accepts different expressions. To show how the concept of Fetra could be applied to present a new way of thinking in the arena of Islamic thought, we select three major issues which have been confusing for Muslims and non-Muslims alike. What religiosity means, how to build peaceful human relation on the local and global levels, and the role of Shari'a in developing a fair and productive society. A deep reflection of the faith in the unseen and the faith in the laws that govern our earthly existence are the core of our approach. The faith in the unknown is a spontaneous response to human being, the acknowledgement of their limitations and their awareness of their needs to their creator, who is beyond any image, idea, or personification. The faith in the known laws of the observable worlds is one of the manifestations of the unseen in our earthly life. If we examine the three major issues mentioned earlier, considering this deep faith in the unseen and the earthly rules, we will come up with a simple and deep understanding of the mentioned issues. The first issue is about religiosity, which is defined by most of scholars in theology to mean following the orders of God as revealed to Prophet Muhammad in the Qur'an. No one can claim that he is certain of the detailed meaning of the verses in the Qur'an. The religion scholars tried for many centuries to convince people that they are the ones who know the intention of Allah, as they are the experts in reading Qur'an verses. However, there are many interpretations and different opinions in most of the religious issues. So how could a person handle these differences? The common approach followed by religion scholars has been to tell people not to think, but to follow what they decide as the best for them because they know better. Any intellectual person would not accept this approach. To overcome this dilemma, one can seek knowledge through her or his experience, observation, interaction, and own interpretation. For the original Qur'an verses, the verses in the Qur'an are not mainly words. They are spiritual energy, manifested and expressing mode. Their meaning reveal themselves to our hearts according to each one the capacity. This is one direct implication of the belief in the unseen. On the other hand, the belief in science and the human expertise in mundane life as the manifestation of the unseen in earthly life will lead to the prosperity, justice, and the development in any society. This is what we understand from verses, the following verse, and let there be from you a nation inviting to good, enjoining what's right and forbidding what's wrong, and those will be the successful. In this verse, the responsibility is given to people to decide the best way to choose for their society. The second issue is about how to deal with the diversity of the follower of different beliefs on the local and global levels. The base for dealing with diversity again is the faith in the unseen. Faith in the unseen will liberate us from being dogmatic and or blindly following the ancestors, those who were the companion of the Prophet or their followers. We also expect believers of other religions to liberate themselves from any dogmas which are not reasonable, especially in the well-known facts that have been proved to be the best practice for all of us. Everyone is aware that it is impossible to create a world that follows one religion. Mingled culture, various systems, and civilization change. That is the reason why diversity are accepted as a natural order. Moderate scholars have recently started to seek establishing a common ground with non-Muslims. The following verse is used by moderate scholars as a way of dealing with non-Muslims. Say, O people of the book, come to common term as between us and you, that we worship none but Allah, that we associate no partners with him, that we don't take from among ourselves lords and patrons other than Allah. If then they turn back, say, bear witness that we surrender our being to Allah. We are Muslims. Of this is that it comes as between two sects, even if they belong to the same religion. Our interpretation is that worshipping Allah, who is the unseen, others, and what we can is to come to a common term between us. Allah is transcendental. He is manifested in our capabilities of coming to a common term, which is the best that we can agree upon. If others refused our call and insisted on things which we are not sure they are true, then we would ask them to witness that we are Muslims. In this context, the Muslim in our interpretation are those who submit to the law of Fetra and follow the rational decisions and what seems to be the best for them and for their society. The third issue is about the role of Shari'a in regulating the society. Fundamentalists claim that they are doing their best to guard the perfect model of governance, following the Prophet Muhammad, his guided companion, and Al-Salaf As-Salih, the richest ancestor. They claim that they are guarding Islam, authenticity, and purity. For them, the holy texts are clear and easy to follow. They don't see any need to have other views or interpretations. Their jurists think that because the Qur'an, the and define Shari'a was handled as a set of rigid rules that were implemented without even thinking whether the verses mean what people were doing in some Islamic societies. The Quran verses and the tradition of Prophet Muhammad related to the legal system and the crime sanction were interpreted literally, although the main purpose of these sanctions is to ensure safety and justice in the society. If other sanctions achieve the same purpose and are more suitable in modern societies, we think they could be considered as part of the Shari'a as they achieve its purposes. We respect the idea of following the Qur'an and Sunnah guidance, yet we should be aware that we follow our understanding, which can develop and change. The Holy Transcript inspires their readers continuously with new meanings, believing that there is one meaning to the Holy Transcripts, lead to stagnation and cripples Muslim the ability to search for making use of the revelation guidance for our lives. We should open our hearts and minds to receive the Holy Transcript, the blessing. There should be no contradictions between our primordial nature and the Holy Transcript guidance. Any seeming paradoxes between basic human principles, such as equality, liberty, justice, and dignity, must be solved. For example, believing that surrender means that we should accept oppression from one group or one person over other does not fit within the principles of equality and freedom. Putting the malaise of the world on God's will would contradict with humanity's responsibilities and accountabilities. For example, women became apathetic toward men that dominance, believing that God gives men the right to control them. The fallacy of believing that there is only one way to deduce legal rules using holy sources has been overwhelming Muslim societies for centuries. As a result, the creative, innovative, and flexible process were crippled. As Muslims, we must focus on the holistic view of the purpose of the Shari'a and its intention. This verse showed that Allah asks you to seek justice, excellence, be kind to those to whom you are attached. He forbids indecent, shameful, inappropriate, and unjust acts. He advises you that you keep this for life in your mind. I hope that I could have introduced a glimpse of our approach that's not excluding any other approach. Our approach is to invite all people in all religions and beliefs to come together, think of what's good for all. That is the one religion that came from Adam to Muhammad and continues in the richest leaders who exist in all cultures and societies. Those are the scholars who appear in each society holding the torch of knowledge that enlightens the way to all people. Those are like the prophets and the messengers in the old ages. There is a prophet saying, "The scholar of my nation are like prophets of the children of Israel." The statement, nation of the prophet, points to the whole earth, and the word scholars denote all philosophers, scientists, engineers, enlightened theologians, and all scholars in all branches of sciences who serve the human being without any discrimination. Thank you for listening, and I pray to Allah to help us all to be tools for the well-being of the humankind. Thank you again, and thank you for listening, and I finish my talk. Thank you.
Master Ali Rafea, there are no words to thank you for this inspiring presentation, which deals with very major issues. And I think your presentations covered what is written in the book, but at the same time in a simple and a deep tone, and with compassion, and with inviting not only Muslims but the whole world to come together to collaborate for the betterment of the humankind. Thank you so much, and I'd like now to give the word to my sister, Miss Ali Rafea. Please.
Thank you, Master Ali Rafea. Thank you, dear sister Alia. Greetings and love to all of you, honorable panelists and attendees. It is time now to receive your appreciated comments, discussions, questions, and to know more about you, and to give a space to Master Ali Rafea to explain more. And I'm sure it will be a very rich discussion, since the points in the presentation need more elaboration and clearance. So kindly start if you want. I have a question here. My question, this is from Magda Matkour. My question is to Master Ali Rafea. Do you think what is known as political Islam has played a role in creating this confusion between divine revelations and human interpretations? How can such confusion be eliminated?
Yeah, I think political Islam is just, it can be categorized under the very interpretation, very shallow interpretation of the verses, and just take the words by word in the meaning of the words is taken by those according to their beliefs. So this is like any sects, we talked about it, which take literally the verses without looking deeply into what does it mean. Are they sure that this is what it means? For example, if you look to Daesh or other fundamentalists who kill people in the name of Islam because they are not believer, for example, and they take some verses and they interpret like that. So what will happen? It's actually looking to these verses very literal without looking to other things that they may be, they are not sure that this is the interpretation of the verse. Okay, so this is political Islam is like that. They think that they have to govern in the name of Shari'a and to apply the rules of Shari'a, and they don't look to the verses and interpret them in light of the society and its needs and its what's the implication of this enacting of the Sharia like that. So this is the idea. But yes, if you wanted to say is political Islam is one output, our outcome of literal interpretation without looking to the implication of this literal implementation of Islam. And even it may be another interpretation. They don't look to that. They think they know the intention of Allah, and this is what we refer to it, that people try to convince people that we are the people who know what Allah means by this verse. Who said that? Who can say that? And to be honest. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Another question from Lamis Derar. Good evening, everyone. Appreciating your time and effort to share with us. My question is related to the misconceptions of Islam as a religion and the spirituality. Could you please clarify how both are linked? That's Islam as a religion and the spirituality.
They are one thing, and Islam is one thing. It has a religion and spirituality at the meantime, because religion is spirituality. Because when we talk about religion, we talk about relation with Allah, relation with God. This is a religion. Religion, how to establish connection with the unseen. This is the core of spirituality as well. So people think that religion is to just perform rituals in a strict form. Although rituals are expression of rituals expresses some concept. And we always talk about that religion with all its forms and rituals and commandments and all this stuff, they are referring to spiritual concept. But we don't have to separate between the spirituality and religion. The spirituality and religion are one thing, from my perspective at least.
Okay, dear panelists. Yeah. Does anyone?
I would like to just focus on something that came through the presentations, and I think it may raise a lot of questions about the woman and how religion, how dogma and interpretations that eliminate the role of women and look at them as subordinate and less human. And Master Ali Rafea, he mentioned this point actually in the presentation, and I think this is a very important point because it relates to the dimensions of women, not only as Muslims but also in the whole world. They look at them as themselves with they make themselves inferior, believing that is God put them in this position. And while they are human beings, after all, there is no man and woman. There is only one. There is human, and they take the form of a woman or a man. This is, I think, a very interesting point among other things. And if Master Ali Rafea would like to elaborate, or for the panelists or the attendee to ask the questions, I think this will be a great opportunity to listen from him.
Yes, actually, I give this as an example of if there is any interpretation that is against the common sense and against the humanities and human behavior and all this stuff, against the justice, against any Fetra feeling, then we have to re-examine again and not accept it as a fact given by the religion. Okay? Because this led in the past to many disasters in implementing things. Even during, for example, in politics, for example, when they said, for example, some of the traditional or fundamentalist scholars, you have to obey the ruler, whatever he is doing, and don't say no or just try to change him or anything. And this is religion. So oppression here is applied, and they take the religion as a rationale for doing that. all these things, all these ideas which against human feeling or against the Fetra, against logic, against decency and truth as any human feel, cause these problems. This is what we give this as an example.
We have another question here from Minna Abdel Fadil. What should women do about the parts in their Shari'a that they don't believe is true, like interfaith marriage? And how can the society come to accept that? Actually, before I can have a moment just to explain something that's important, because when we have questions like this, sometimes we cannot reach an answer or some insights unless we can differentiate between two methods of thoughts. That's what we try to present in our book, that opening new horizons. The subtitle of our book is Opening New Horizons. How can we open new horizons when we are stuck in letters, in forms, in historical heritage, and we are not aware of what goes on Earth and the development of humanity and everything. For us, our methodology, as Master Ali Rafea will elaborate it, is to be able to receive from the divine revelations. We have first to open new horizons inside ourselves, because the revelations are not mere words. They are not mere orders or commandments. They are unfathomable energy. We cannot understand them or open new horizons when we are stuck in the superficial meaning of words. So that's why this is one path, and our approach is another path. Our approach is very open to what goes on reality. And that's why I just wanted to mention that. And Master Ali, kindly, shall I read the question again? Or it's
yes, sure. Actually, this is a problem. I'm sure it's a problem. But as I said, the idea is not to give an answer, just you have to do that or to do this. The idea is the mechanism to solve the problem. Every problem is to be put on the table. And people of any society must discuss it, and by reasons and what the benefit of the society from making legislation for such cases. It has to be studied, and there are many opinions about interfaith marriage, and it's not one, although there is one dominating idea or opinion, but فلتكن منكم أمة يعني يأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر ويؤمنون بالله. يعني it is actually to deliberate to the people and the scholars and the judges and the scientists and whoever is responsible for certain problem to discuss that open-minded and see what is the best for the society. And they come up with some decision. And they have to be liberal, and they have to be not open in closed box. They have to think outside the box. That's the idea.
Malika Martini, she asks, what can you share with us about Islam and the gender equality? Times have changed and women are as responsible as men in societies still, and there are inequalities in inheritance rights and other rights. What's your views on this?
It's the same that I have said earlier, Yani, in the previous questions. Any problems, what you are raising is a problem, yes. And maybe there are different views for this problem or this case. And then again, it must be discussed by open-minded. We give here a methodology. We are not giving solutions for these problems. We raise a problem. We have to discuss this problem open-minded. We have to sit together with different opinions and see what is the best for the society. And religion does not prohibit any result or any opinion that comes out of the people to decide. Because religion encompasses all outcomes. You can find some solution if you want, but this is the idea. And like you are stick to a certain opinion and you are sure 100% that this is the religion. This is not correct. You can find another opinion which actually solves the problem. But this is what I say here. I'm not in a position to give a definite answer to a question related to problems in the society.
Dr. Sharon Harris, change is obviously needed, yet religious, not spiritual. But how can we get those who dangerously differ to come to the discussion? Dr. Sharon, would you like to elaborate more by talking to us?
Please unmute, you are muted.
What I said was change is obviously needed, yet religious, not spiritual people are not willing to listen and discuss this because they're so stuck in their ideologies. How can we get those who so dangerously differ from us, who want goodwill and good for all, and to follow the true spiritual path, to come to the table? They're not willing to discuss because they think that they are the word of God. At least this is especially true with Christianity in this country. Yeah. I'm in the US.
This is a big problem. This is a big problem. And this is what we are trying to change by saying we believe in the unseen. No one can claim that God, the opinion is that. If we agree on this fact, then we will talk. If we don't agree on that, we will not talk for sure. And there will not be any change. If you are sure that you understand what's God, what is the meaning of God for certain words, and He wants that, and there is no other opinion or other interpretation of the verse, then for sure we will not solve any problem, and we will not come to any table. And this is a big problem. I agree with it. But we try to just change this by admitting that we don't exactly what Allah wants. Can we say that? We and I can say that, but people they play gods themselves, and they know God wants that. How can you know that? How can you are sure to say that? How you dare? Anyone dares to say that Allah wants so and does not want so. And if we just believe in the unseen in the same way I explained, we don't know exactly. if we are talking to the words in the gospel or in the Qur'an or any divine book, it has many interpretations. I can interpret the saying they are saying to do something in a different way. If the society, the needs need that, it will do. And this happens in the history. And for example, the slavery in Islam, the old scholar think that this is part of Islam. And if you wanted to prohibit slavery, they will say, no, it's in Islam and there is rules in Islam for slavery. Like when the world come to a conclusion to prohibit slavery and take the definite decision not to apply slavery and just to abandon this methodology or this mechanism of taking slaves, and there is a master and slave and this system, they accept it. And all the religious people that said no, they said yes. Okay, that this needs some decisions by the society and to come up with interpretation for real problems. It's not just for philosophical thinking, but if there is a problem and the religion is not up to solving this problem in the traditional way, we have to think.
I may like to add just a few words about in relation to what Sharon is saying in relation to the book as well, because the book actually make like anatomy, analyzing the set mind of these people who don't come and accept the dialogue. And if you look—
Hi, did you just try and call Sharon? Hello. Hi, did you just try and call Sharon?
I said that I'm responding to your question. Just talking to someone. Okay, I'm sorry. I saw that Sharon is directing her words to me. I'm talking about the book, how it is actually explains the set mind of the people, like Master Ali Rafea says now, that they claim that they know the intention of God. Where this idea came from, what is their set mind? And then at the same time, the beauty of this book, it avoids this kind of set mind by stressing that we don't know. There is an unknown. There is always something that's unknown. We are limited. So even the interpretation that the book is offering and Mr. Ali Rafea is explaining, it does not claim this is everything. This is the whole thing. It always open through the displaying of the book. It's always open another question. It open always another dimension. So we need, actually what we need is not to think of the people who refuse or reject dialogues, but we need to build another culture, another way of thinking. And that is, that's why we are now conducting these cultural forums, writing books and doing activities and so on and so forth, hoping that we change the basis of how the person think and adapt to a critical way of thinking and acknowledge that we are limited. Yani, this is just my few words for addition. Thank you. Aisha, yes, you can.
Here is another question from Dr. Magda Matkour. Would you like to talk, Magda? Magda is not, does not. Mr. Helmi Abu Al-Aish raising his hands, please. Yes, would you kindly introduce yourself, Dr. Helmi?
Yes, good evening. I'm Henryvillege, and I want to thank Master Ali Rafea for his introduction to the topic and for his invitation to discuss without prejudice all kind of questions. And my particular question to him is, what about these three different levels or dimensions of relationship to Allah described in the Quran, to me, at least by my late father, Henryvillege, is the Muslim, the Mu'min, and the Muhsin. Because I think, as he already has introduced, that we have different consciousness levels. And out of different consciousness levels, different beliefs and different thoughts, we see different worlds. And I think this is introduced in the Quran already. And the whole message to the three different consciousness levels are different messages, each one according to its ability. And so I would like to go to take his idea on this concept.
Okay. So you're talking about Muslim and the believer and Muhsin, right? You want the different levels of person, yani. The Islam in general, from my perspective about what we mean by Muslim. Muslim, in my understanding, I'm not talking about how they interpret it or how they explain it in other books or other scholars, is to surrender to Allah. And surrender to Allah means that you know that you have to do whatever you can in order to believe, according to what you serve, according to what you see as to serve the others. So this is the behavior of a person. So if a person behaves very well in his life, with people, with himself, this is the Muslim. And the second level is believing. Believing here, what I have said regarding this in my talk is a belief in the unseen. Belief in the unseen liberates you from deciding on behalf of God. So you accept what's better because you believe in the unseen. Believe in the unseen, believe in the afterlife, believe in the extension, in the impact of your earthly life to the spiritual life. Man amana billah wal yawm al-akhir. This is belief in the unseen, which is Allah, and the second life or the spiritual life and the afterlife. So this is something that you believe that will happen, and this will affect your behavior as a Muslim. There is interaction between your belief and with what you are doing, which is your behavior as Muslim. So this is the two things, or the relation between Muslim and believer. And believer here, we mean the believer in the unseen, believer in the afterlife. These are the two things that will affect what you are doing on earth. Therefore, in all verses, says, for example, man amana billah wal yawm al-akhir wa amila salih. Yani, it's believe in God, believe in the afterlife, and do well in his earthly life. So these are the relationship between the believing and doing on the earth. The third level, which is Muhsin, or I don't know what's exactly the term in English for al-ihsan. Yani, if you have this term, then you can tell the others. But it is the third level here is to the definition given by one of the saying of Prophet Muhammad, that al-ihsan or muhsin is to worship God or worship Allah as if you see him. If you don't see him, he sees you. The feeling of God with you is the ihsan. You feel, and when I pray, I believe what I'm saying reaches God. And I believe that God is listening to me and is with me. So this is another level of the human in his spiritual level, if you want to say that in this term. So I hope that I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to add on a small side question. I believe that the discussion on the level you are proposing at the moment is possible for sure for the Mohsin, because for any Mohsin, this discussion would not be painful we're having now. Maybe for the Mu'min, but I'm not sure. Even for the Mu'min, I think it's difficult. And as we see in daily life, for the Muslim, it's nearly impossible.
Because definition of Muslim as the tradition definition, yes, I agree. And the tradition definition of Mu'min as also common in the society will not accept all what we are saying. This is a higher level, and or it need intellectual capabilities for sure. And but this is what we see, and we have to say that. Yeah. And I think like many Sufis, they talk like that. Yeah, it's not something new.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sharon, you want to say something? Please, it's better that you talk.
Unmute, please. Unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. This is something I think about often, and I would love to hear what you have to say, Master Ali. What are your thoughts about attending to the quote, the seen, unquote, which I see as a manifestation of the divine, this world? I don't make a big separation. I know they're very different, but I want to live fully, consciously, and spiritually in this life, and as much as possible. And I love the saying, quote, it is not who you are, which could be one's religious identity, but what you do that counts, how we live our lives. And the love of God and the graciousness and everything in every moment, even when we see a flower in this world, is a reflection of Allah. I'm done.
So this is like a comment or something, Yani, or a question. I don't understand well.
I'm sorry. I didn't word it as enough as a question, as I want to hear what you think about that, what your ideas are about that. That is my belief, but I want to know what you think.
Again, could you repeat again, because I didn't get you well?
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts about attending to the seen world, a manifestation of the divine? And I love, and this is a comment by me, and I want to hear your thoughts about this, is I love the saying, it is not who you are, because our identity is part of who we are, but what you do that counts.
Yes, I agree. I agree that the unseen is manifested in the seen world, and what we are doing is what it counts. And what we believe is what it counts. This is, I agree with what you have said, Yani. as far as I understand your words. Because the unseen is manifested in the seen, for sure. And we cannot see the unseen, but we see how his manifestation in the seen world. Everything in the seen world is manifestation of God, of Allah, of the unseen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just something to add epistemologically, when Master Ali Rafea was talking about that believing and or faith in the unseen is protect us from claiming that we hold the absolute reality. So he was speaking from an epistemological perspective, not from isolating the unseen from its manifestation on earth. That's just what or at least that's what I understood. If I misunderstand, I think I'm expecting Master Ali Rafea to correct me.
Yes, that's correct. The unseen does not mean we just don't deal with him or don't consider his existence or something like that. I don't say that, no. But actually, we believe in the unseen through his manifestation in the seen. And this is what I say always like that. The relationship between seen and the unseen. But when I say the unseen or the unknown, I mean that I cannot talk on his behalf. Okay? All what I can do is what I think it is a good thing to do. What is the right thing to do? This is what counts. But I cannot say I'm doing that because the unseen told me I have to do that. I have to do that because I know that what I'm doing is the best thing that I can do in my earthly life or in my seen life. Okay. So this is what I
mean. Here we have Asma Lutaif. She says the manifested world is a reflection to the God will. Is this a comment or you want to elaborate on that, Asma? It's a comment. Okay.
All right, great.
Here there was a question by Adham Shahir. Having each individual to reach his or her own interpretation of holy verses according to one's capabilities opens a new dimension of freedom of belief, a dimension which needs a lot of changes and enablers. If Master Ali may shed some light on those enablers. Adam, would you like to explain what you mean by enablers? People who enable us from doing this, or what? We have a question. Adam does not respond. We have for Q&A. Dr. Al-Ansari, Magid Al-Ansari. The Sufi person has his own terms and ideas in his relation with God. In comparison with fundamentalists, they have their terms and ideas. How to find a common language?
Yeah, this is difficult to find a common language in this case, but we can try. If you believe in the unseen, the fundamentalist will think that the unseen they know what the unseen wants. The Sufis may be, or I don't know all the Sufis, maybe some Sufis also have the same views as the fundamentalists. But my view, for example, is I cannot judge the unseen and say the unseen wants me to do so and so and so. I know that the word sent to us is from the unseen, but we have to interpret it in the way we think through our mind, which is given to us by Allah. And this is what we call the Fetra. And there is some sense given to us to understand the words and to transform our understanding into action. So in this case, we can discuss and we can make some dialogue with if Sufis and the fundamentalists could talk together, but it would be difficult to do that except if both of them are willing to listen to the other. But it would be a very difficult dialogue.
I think if there is one question, we can take one more question, and then we have good time to be with Master Ali Rafea, and then we can end the webinar. If there is any question, Aisha, if you like.
Here is Walid. As far as I understand in religion, the relation and the connection is with Allah, and in spirituality, the connection is with advanced guiding spirits. Is it the same? This is again about religion and spirituality. Yeah. I think this was answered. Has been answered during other answers. Yes, okay. Adam said he got the answers in some other answers. Okay.
Okay. I would like very much.
I have the question from Adham, who is talking about that everyone will have his own interpretation according to his level. Yes, that's this is common, that everyone will read Qur'an and verses of Qur'an and they will understand something maybe different from the other. And as we said in the talk, the idea is relationship between what beyond the verses from spirituality or spiritual power or energy that is transferred through words to the reader of the verse. And everyone will feel different from others. Yeah, this is a common practice.
We have Ali Al-Jafar. Thank you for the inspiring talk. Mahmoud Mustafa. May I say so? Oh, of course, Mahmoud, you are most welcome. Please do.
Assalamu alaikum. Sidi Ali, thank you for this very important work that you're all doing. It's much needed, and I'm really grateful that I'm here with you. Just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you, some thoughts. I see the situation we're in as the work that you're doing is the work of making our faith relevant to modern times and to the situation that we're in, because we need that, because it has largely become irrelevant. And people are leaving it, especially young people are leaving Islam in droves quietly, because it has no meaning to them. In fact, it's worse. It's harmful to them. And we know the things about women and misogyny and oppression and injustice. These are all things that drive people away from religion. So the work you're doing is really important and very much of great value. The thing that I think we would be wasting our time if we try to actually establish or try to get a dialogue going between fundamentalists and what you're offering. I think what is much more meaningful is for you to offer an alternative. Make this an alternative, because I believe that there's that a lot of people are longing for what you are offering and the understanding of religion that is in your hearts and the way that you're guided by it. And that's much more useful of your time and energy, is instead of trying to convince people who are so opposed to what you're saying to come closer to you, it's better to offer and disseminate and make it much more available to people who are in need of this, in need of something that has meaning in their lives, instead of the frankly garbage that is being offered as religion, that no person in the right mind would want it in today's world, in my unbiased opinion.
No, thank you very much.
And one other thing is that
thank you, Mahmoud, I think I met you in the States one day, right?
Yes.
Came to you, yeah.
I came to your home. I came to your home.
Yes, sure.
So there's also one other thing, if you allow me, that's important, is that
sure.
This dichotomy that we keep talking about of religion versus spirituality, I think is misleading. I think if we are people of Tawheed, we need to integrate the two. They're not separate and they're not opposed to each other. That spirituality only has meaning when it is rooted in an authentic religious tradition, I think, because then there's a guidance system that people can trust in and follow that is proven. And I think it's important for us not to separate those two, because then it opens a gap for contention and misunderstanding. And instead of saying, Islam is a spiritual guidance system. It's one of the most beautiful and profound of guidance systems available to humanity. And it's not something that we have to choose. Is it religion or is it spirituality? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, we 100% agree with you have said, and we emphasize that many times. What you have said is not, we are not going to dialogue with fundamentalists at all. Now we just present our views, as you said, and those who need it will take it. And we always say that. If you are fundamentalist and you are happy with what you are doing, why you are going to read our books or you hear to our sayings? Yes, you are right. We are not losing our time in this dialogue at all. We just author the book and avail it for those who are not satisfied with what the people or the traditional people are describing Islam or providing Islam or explaining Islam or introducing Islam. We are producing another view. We are introducing, another view, another approach, and this is our approach and what we think. We do not say this is the only thing, but this is what we think. Again, spirituality is the essence of any religion. Religion is not meaning, that does not mean إنك to say I am and I have to pray in this way and the other will pray in another way. Praying is praying for anything, for any religion, for any understanding. It is relationship with God. Rituals, relationship with God. I emphasize that and I agree with what you have said. No difference between spirituality and religion. Spirituality is the core of any religion. If you are talking about spirituality, is the relation with Allah, is the relation with the unseen, is the relation with the spiritual world, whatever you define spirituality, it is actually the essence of any religion. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We have some comments here. I can read them before we leave, and if anyone wants to talk by person. We have Lamis Derar. She says, agreed, she agrees. Although as per discussed how our societies apply and separate religion from spirituality and materialize rituals, confuses and leads to many misconceptions. Thank you, Lamis. Dr. Valerie Hoffman, would you like to? I can read your comment, but it's our pleasure that we listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sure, I'll just say it's, first of all, it's lovely to see you, Aisha and Alia. And Sayyid Ali, we haven't actually met, but I've certainly heard you and on your in your speeches. And many of the issues that are raised here are so important today, of course, for our societies. And many Muslims are really grappling with these issues of how to interpret and whether interpretation can ever be closed and who can ever speak on behalf of God. And so in some ways, what you're doing is similar to what others are doing. And in some ways, it's continuous with, I think, the Sufi tradition that would say that there are unlimited meanings in scripture, the more one is spiritually open. So you have, as I said, a very refreshing perspective. Of course, I think that our world is in need of these perspectives that can allow us to hear from other people and profit from each other, whether or not we agree on everything. And I think it's, of course, a very beautiful thing to reflect that kind of spirituality and to cultivate a relationship with God in a state of humility and openness and not in a state of arrogance. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much, Valerie, and nice to see you. And thank you for everything you have done. Thanks.
So we have Magda says, I believe spirituality is the essence of Islam. Yes, we agreed on that. Dr. Sharon, I'm so joyful to be engaged with this very relevant discussion. Thank you, Mr. Ali Rafea. And she says, Amintu Mahmoud. Thank you. Also, Dr. Magda Matpour said, this is my comment on the book, the objectivity that the authors used to analyze and discuss all the approaches that handle Islam, including theirs. I was also impressed by the amount of love that emanates from the authors' minds and hearts towards humanity, embracing even those whose approaches and perspectives are extremely different and dogmatic. I believe that we need this approach to promote world peace. Thank you, Magda. Would you like to talk or say something about this, Magda? It's okay. It seems that there is a problem. Okay, that's good. For new message. Please, if I missed anything, Amina, please let us see you. Amina, prior.
Hello, it's so wonderful to see you and be with you today and all our long association. So I'm really grateful for this discussion and what you say about just knowing the energy of the Quran and of our own practice. So it's been lovely.
It's really great to talk to you. And you know, we are happy that you are with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We also have Lily first. Thank you so much for your wisdom and the generosity in this webinar. Lily, would you like to talk in person, please? Okay, seems it's not available for her, but it's lovely to have Lily first also with us. Dr. Sharon, again, thank you so much. This is obviously a very important book, Love and Appreciation to All. Thank you, Sharon.
Hello, dear Aisha, Aliyah,
Yes.
and Master Ali. I am here. Thank you so much for this presentation, and it is so lovely to see you again. It's been way too long.
Yes, Lily. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Fascinating discussion and really, really important topics. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm afraid, I tried to be very accurate, but in case I did not see anything, please, anyone who wants to talk. I think we have them all.
If there is no comments or no questions, then maybe we have already come to an end. But I would like to express my joy and happiness that I see friends from all over the world and the people that we didn't see for long, and also my gratitude to Mr. Hilmi Abulaish. Your father is always in our heart and in our memory. And he is a very special person for us all. And he actually realized that doing expressing his faith by serving and introducing an example of how to relate between the word and the faith and bring the faith in the unknown in the known. And so for that I have to thank you for being with us. And Professor Hoffman, of course, you made a wonderful presentations in conferences, and also you write papers, a paper in the book, and your interest in what we're doing is really appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for being here with us in this very interesting webinar. And of course, my appreciation and my gratitude and my thanks to Master Ali Rafea for being with us and introducing this book with his insight and giving more to us from his heart. Thank you so much for all of you, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.